February 24th, 2005, Cleveland, Ohio. 30-year-old Rosemary Essa was in a minor car accident. A low-speed fender bender. But what happened next was anything but minor. When emergency services arrived, they found her traumatized. Yes, but also violently ill. Vomiting uncontrollably. It made no sense. Rushed to the hospital, doctors were shocked. Despite their efforts, Rosemary died. A seemingly healthy woman, gone after a fender bender? This was just the beginning of a story, far darker and more disturbing than anyone could imagine. Around 1:53 p.m., driving her Volvo SUV, Rosie made a call to her best friend, Eva McGregor. What started as a casual chat took a sudden, terrifying turn. Eva would later recall Rosie saying, "I feel like crap. I just feel horrible." Mid-sentence, the conversation abruptly ended. Rosie had passed out. Rosie wasn't driving normally. Her SUV was moving slowly, erratically, veering across lanes. She eventually bumped into another car, a minor collision, before drifting to a halt. This wasn't like Rosie. By chance, a medical professional driving by saw the strangely stopped car. Pulling over, she rushed to help, peering inside to find Rosie slumped over, eyes wide, struggling to breathe, and vomiting profusely. Paramedics and police arrived, while Rosie was quickly transported to Hillcrest Hospital. Officers examined the scene. It was baffling. The crash was minor, the cars barely damaged, yet Rosie was in critical condition. At the hospital, doctors fought to save her. She wasn't breathing, unresponsive. They intubated her, gave her medication, but her heart rate remained dangerously erratic. Doctors were completely puzzled. There were no signs of physical trauma, no injuries that could explain her sudden, severe state. As one emergency physician put it, they were considering major medical events like a brain aneurysm, things that weren't caused by a simple crash. Her husband Yazid was notified and rushed to the hospital. Doctors desperately asked if Rosie had any medical history, anything at all that could explain her condition. Yazid insisted she was perfectly healthy. Despite all efforts, after less than an hour in the hospital, Rosie was pronounced dead. A healthy 38-year-old mother, gone. What seemed like a tragic accident was about to unravel into something far more sinister, hinting at secrets hidden in plain sight. Rosie's brother, Dominic, a lawyer, had the heartbreaking task of notifying family and friends. Among them was Rosie's best friend, Eva McGregor, who'd known Rosie since she was a child. Devastated but clear-headed, Eva shared a crucial detail from their last conversation, just moments before the accident.
"I have a weird thing that happened. Rosie was talking to me just before she died, and she was mentioning that Yaz gave her the spill, but she said it just made her feel terrible, so you need to look into that."
Yazid, Eva recalled, had insisted Rosie take some calcium pills that morning for bone health. Rosie had taken them, and soon after felt sick. This strange clue from Rosie herself gave Dominic specific path to investigate. An autopsy and toxicology analysis were performed, but the results were inconclusive. No trauma, no obvious cause of death. A healthy woman dies suddenly after a minor crush? It made no sense. Investigators were missing something vital. But initially, out of respect for the grieving family, and with no clear evidence of foul play, the case wasn't immediately treated as suspicious. But investigators weren't ready to give up. They reopened the case, re-interviewing witnesses and hospital staff. It was during these conversations that a pattern emerged. Yazid's behavior after Rosie's death was deeply unusual. He seemed strangely detached, lacking the expected grief. Even more striking was a text message he sent out shortly after Rosie died. Surprisingly calm and blunt. Just wanted to let you know that Rosie died yesterday in a minor car accident. She will be missed. The casualness was jarring, and critically, Yazid seemed to accept the car accident explanation without question, never asking for details or further investigation. 2 weeks later, police contacted Yazid, framing it as a routine interview to understand his perspective on the day of the accident. They asked about Rosie's health and if she had taken anything. Yazid confirmed she had taken a calcium supplement right before leaving. Playing it cool, investigators asked if they could accompany him to collect the pills. Yazid readily agreed. Back at the house, investigators encountered another surprise. Yazid had recently hired both a daytime and a nighttime nanny. A strange detail given Rosie's death. But their focus was the calcium bottle. They collected it, noting that some of the capsules appeared to have been tampered with. The pills were rushed to the lab for testing. As a forensic chemist began analyzing them, he made a chilling discovery. While many were indeed calcium, 9 of the capsules had been opened and refilled. The lab results came back. Those 9 tempered capsules contained something terrifying. Cyanide. Cyanide isn't routinely screened for in typical toxicology tests. You have to specifically look for it. Finding it was a horrifying, almost unheard of event for forensic scientists. This wasn't an accident anymore. This was murder. Investigators quickly secured search warrants and re-examined Rosie's car and body samples. Cyanide was found in her vomit. A focused toxicology screen on Rosie revealed a staggering 9.1 milligrams of cyanide per liter of blood, 3 times the lethal dose. And the tempered pills, they contained a horrifying 600 to 800 milligrams of pure cyanide each. This was a massive dose, far more than needed to kill. Rosie's death was undoubtedly a deliberate, calculated murder by poisoning. Investigators quickly deduced Yazid's likely plan. Give Rosie the poison, hope she crashed fatally on the highway, and the death would be ruled an accident. Rosie's slower speed and back road route unknowingly messed up his perfect crime, leading to the strange, low-speed collision and her survival long enough for the bizarre symptoms to be noted. Knowing the tempered pills would implicate him once tested, Yazid acted fast. The very day after handing over the calcium bottle, March 19th, 2005, he vanished. Early that morning, he left a calm voicemail for Rosie's sister, who was watching the kids, claiming a friend's brother was in a terrible accident in North Carolina and he was flying out to help, promising to be back Monday. When Monday passed with no sign or call from Yazid, the family grew frantic. They called the friend, who revealed Yazid had never gone to North Carolina, and there was no accident. Yazid had lied. He was gone. While others worried, Dominic suspected the worst. He rushed to Yazid's house and searched. In the kitchen, he found a recently opened express mail package containing passport photos. Yazid hadn't just disappeared. He had fled the country. Dominic immediately notified police, urging them to question Yazid's brother and business partner, Firas Essa. Under questioning, Firas confessed. Yazid had asked for his help to escape the US, saying he needed to leave because he was having multiple affairs and didn't want to be found out. The women he was seeing, shockingly, they were the very nannies he had hired to care for his children. Yazid told Firas he was unhappy and wanted to leave Rosie, implying he killed her to avoid the financial cost of divorce and be free to pursue his other relationships. Firas, tragically, had even put Yazid in touch with a cousin experienced in smuggling people to help him get out of the country quickly. Authorities knew they had to bring him back. Firas detailed Yazid's escape route. From Cleveland to Detroit, across the border to Windsor, then flights to Toronto, Cyprus, and finally Beirut, Lebanon. Lebanon was a strategic choice at the time. It had no extradition treaty with the United States. Yazid had connections there, securing safe houses and resources, essentially making it the perfect place to disappear. On April 22nd, 2005, the coroner officially ruled Rosie's death as acute cyanide poisoning. A grand jury quickly indicted Yazid Essa for aggravated murder, but he was already gone, safely in Lebanon, where US authorities had no legal means to force his return. In Beirut, Yazid started a new life with a new name, Maurice Khouri, who dramatically changed his appearance and began dating, even creating an email address, fugitive@hotmail.com. Astonishingly, he wasn't hiding. He reportedly boasted about being a killer in nightclubs, confident he had gotten away with it. It took US authorities 3 months to fully piece together his escape, giving him plenty of time to vanish into his new identity. With no extradition, all they could do was issue appeals for his return. But the FBI and local police in Cleveland were watching. They carefully tracked his movements, waiting patiently for him to make a mistake and leave the country. That mistake came on October the 7th, 2006. Yazid booked a flight to Cyprus. The FBI immediately alerted Cypriot authorities, warning them he was likely traveling on a fake passport. When Yazid landed, looking vastly different, Cypriot police, acting on the tip, requested his fingerprints. The prints didn't match his fake passport name, but they matched Dr. Yazid Essa. He was arrested. Getting him back to the US wasn't easy. Aggravated murder charges in Ohio could carry the death penalty, and Cyprus wouldn't extradite if that were a possibility. Even though they had an extradition treaty, prosecutor Bill Mason had to formally assure Cyprus that they would not seek the death penalty. Yazid's lawyers fought extradition for nearly 3 years, but finally, in January 2009, he was sent back to Cleveland to face trial. Building the case was a challenge. The prosecution had compelling circumstantial evidence. The pills, the cyanide, Yazid's flight, his strange behavior, but little direct proof. The trial began in January 2010. The defense immediately argued that the state's case was purely circumstantial, lacking hard scientific evidence directly linking Yazid to the poisoning, claiming Someone else must have tampered with the pills without his knowledge. The prosecution called 80 witnesses. The most damaging testimony came from Yazid's own brother, Firas. He recounted how Yazid had confessed to him shortly after Rosie's death. The defense tried to point fingers at Yazid's mistresses, claiming one of them could have poisoned Rosie out of jealousy, but offered no proof. The prosecution laid out their case. Yazid's plan A was a fatal car crash. Plan B was blaming product tampering. Plan C was blaming a jilted lover, but the evidence pointed to Yazid.
We, the jury, do find the defendant Yazid Essa guilty of aggravated murder.
Finally, Yazid Essa was found guilty of aggravated murder and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 20 years. Rosie's parents were present for the verdict, a mixture of relief and profound sadness. Their daughter's killer was held accountable, but nothing could bring back the vibrant woman who had planned for a third child. Now, leaving her 2 young children to grow up without her or their father. The case of Rosie Essa remains a chilling example of a calculated plan, thwarted by unexpected circumstances and uncovered through relentless investigation. What do you think about Yazid's motive and the bizarre details of his escape? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, please give this video a like and subscribe for more true crime cases. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe.